Blues Talking, which is our pre-gig thing at Henry's Blues House every Tuesday, remembering that Tuesdays is Blues Days. Tonight we've got a musician who's played here several times. He's a very big draw here, one of the club's favourites. He's a singer, bass player, leader and general factotum of Dirk Diggler's blues band. Please welcome Darroll.
I just look up what factotum means.
It's French. So first of all, we'd like to ask people where they first encountered the blues, where you first heard the blues. Was it on radio? Was somebody played to their records? Was it your dad? What was it?
Well, I'm forever indebted to my Auntie Barbara. She's from Walsall. And I, as a kid, I asked her to do me a tape of the Beatles, and she says, well, I don't really like the Beatles, I like the Rolling Stones. She says, I've only got one album by the Beatles, a best of the Beatles. She says, I'll do you that, and I'll put you something else on the other side. And on the other side, she put I think it was a Fleetwood Mac best of, the Peter Green years. And I was just absolutely knocked back. So I went to school the next day, I ran to school and told all my mates, I've got this excellent tape and the music on the other side is fantastic. And my science teacher overheard me and he says, so what is it? And I says, I think it's blues. And he says, well, I really like blues, I'll do you a tape. Those were in the good old days of tape sharing. So a couple of days later, my science teacher came and he says, here's a tape for you, Darroll. He says, I nearly didn't give it you because I listened to it on the way in and I thought I wanted to keep it. And it had got some great stuff on there, Tommy Tucker, just some real great, John Lee Hooker, all the greats. I've still got the tape now. So that's what got me into the blues, really. Just
what age?
Probably about 12 then.
That's pretty good, good. Get you there, it's never going to let go, is it?
A good start.
When did you start playing?
About the same time.
Sorry, interrupt you. Did you start playing because you loved the blues, or?
Well, no, I started playing because I love sitting up in my bedroom listening to records, and it used to be like my dad's or my Auntie Barbara's records, and then my Auntie Barbara brought me a few records, so I'd listen to that, and the next thing was, okay, Mum, I want a guitar, so I got a little cheap Woolworths thing and used to just play that, didn't know any chords. And when I saw Eric Clapton on Top of the Pops, and he started playing up here and doing all of this, and I was like, what's he doing there? And he started waggling this thing by the side, which of course I hadn't got on a crappy old Woolworths acoustic metal string thing. So I begged my mum and dad, please can I have a guitar for Christmas, please can I have a guitar for Christmas. So we went out to Arcade Music in Cannock, and she brought me this red Columbus guitar, because I saw Eric Clapton with a red Strat. I think he was doing Wonderful Tonight on Top of the Pops. And that's how I started playing, really. And as Frank Zappa says, all bad guitarists become bass players. So I tried to get in bands like this, and I had a couple of lessons. And I was like, listen, I can play Muller Kintyre. And they were like, well, no, here you are, go on to bass. So that's how I started playing, really.
So when did you switch to bass? What sort of age?
About 13.
Right. Well, which time you were a veteran blues listener?
Oh, yeah. I thought I was a veteran blues player then as well. I formed a little blues band called Subway. And we did basically what we do now. I like to think that we do it better now.
I hope so. But at least, if Subway didn't make it, at least your sandwich chain did okay.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. I should seek copyright for that, really. Although I think they probably came up with Subways before.
Were you always the singer in the band?
That was another thing. It was the same with Ozzy Osbourne, Hazo and PA, and that's how I became a singer. Yeah. Because I played bass, and I went and played with this band and played bass, and no one sang, so I got on the mic and sang and mustered out some rubbish. They're like, oh, Dad, you're a great singer, which I wasn't. And go on the vocals. So then I brought my own PA as well. So I was with bass and PA.
Great. So, were you going in to listen to other bands at the same time? Who did you listen to?
Well, it's really funny because I didn't go and see many blues bands when I was young. I mean, the first bands I went to see were all like the rock sort of stuff, you know, because I wasn't really in the know of what blues artists were travelling and playing. So I used to go and see like little local blues bands, you know. I mean, years ago I went to see a band called the Winchester Blues Band, which were a Walsall-based blues band. Now, only half my brain was working then, because I used to think Starsky and Hutch was a work of genius. Turns out it's a load of rubbish. But I thought they were great. They could have been rubbish, but I thought they were great, you know. And I just really loved going to little blues clubs. And like upstairs at the Wheatsheaf in Walsall, they had like, you know, they used to have bands play up there. And that was the mecca for me. I used to stand outside the Wheatsheaf in Walsall at the ripe old age of about 14. And like, God, I'm dreaming of playing upstairs, you know. So there you go, and I used to go there and watch stuff like that. Fat Lucy, who were like a Thin Lizzy tribute band. You know, yeah, just little bands like that, yeah.
So when did you first hear name bands? Are you hear the Stones or?
Well, I went to see the Stones when I saw them on the Bridges to Babylon tour, and that was just a fantastic experience. You know, I was right at the front, camped outside all day. I went with my Auntie Barbara.
Good old Auntie Barbara.
Yeah, who featured again. And her friend Jane, who's a massive Stones fan, seen them about 50 times, sold 2 houses to go and see them. So she was always down the front, and I was her runner basically. So as soon as the turnstiles happened, I had to run down the front and basically hold my arms out and wait and keep space for Barbara and her. And I tell you what, the Stones fans are something else. They really are. There's like hair pulling and all sorts of things going on at the front. You're like, oh my God. And they're trying to nudge you out the way and all that. They're very dedicated. So I went to that gig, and that was like amazing because I was right at the front. I got the tell from the backing singer. I got a set list off stage. And I swear down that Keith Richards walked in front of me, looked me in the eyes and did the sign of the cross. And that was it. I was just like, oh, what is... And he strummed the A minor or D minor, whatever it is, down, I could be wrong, for Paint It Black. And I just went, yes! Like this, and he looked at me like that. And I was like, yeah, so that's me seeing the Stones, just an amazing experience.
So when was the point, if there was a point, that you became aware that the blues didn't actually begin with Jeff Beck?
Yeah, well, I think it was at the point of that tape really, because I never got into like the Jeff Becks, your Stevie Ray Vaughans, even your Rory Gallagher's. That sort of blues, as far as I went, was like the sort of Chicago sort of Buddy Guy. When he started, that's as far as I went. All the other stuff I found overproduced and a bit too, you know, it didn't have the same scratchy feel as the old like Chicago blues and, you know, the Delta blues, you know. So that's what I incessantly listen to that tape, you know.
Which are your 5 favourite American bluesmen? I mean, the originals. Is it Buddy Guy, maybe?
So, I really like Buddy Guy, I really like B.B. King, John Lee Hooker, you know, and it's the same old names that you reel off. But, you know, those guys, you know, Elmore James, Albert King, all of those guys are just amazing.
When you perform now with Dirk Diggler, what proportion of your songs are originals and what proportion are old blues guys stuff made to play in your own style?
Well, we've got hours of material, and it's, you know, it's leaning more towards originals now, our own songs, and obviously with Toby on drums, we try and introduce, because Toby lives down here in Birmingham, and he comes and plays with us when we're out. We don't actually rehearse with him. You know, he's that good, he just comes and plays. So that means we have to show him new songs in the sound check. So we basically integrate those as we go along, but we've got hours of material and you know, quite a lot of it, you know, a third of it is other people's songs, and you know, the other 2/3 are around. Really.
I think you do, buddy guys, damn right to have the blues, huh?
Yeah, we certainly do. Yeah.
Here's a leading question. How many times have you watched the entirety of the Blues Brothers film?
Once.
What?
Once, yeah. I watched it once. I had a bad experience with the Blues Brothers film. I borrowed it on VHS off a friend. I watched it, loved it, lost it. And I was like, oh no, and this is when I was even more skint than I am now, and it was a struggle, and VHSs were like a tenner, and it was a struggle to get, in old money, it was a struggle to get that tenner to buy this person her Blues Brothers VHS back, so consequently I gave her the copy I brought, because I lost her copy, and I've never watched it since.
I think you should.
Yeah, I think I should, really.
One of the good
But
guys,
again,
man.
I felt at the time, and this is perhaps me being really snobby, in fact it is, but I felt like, okay, why are two white American comedians like being blues guys in shades, you know what I mean? I thought, you know, the people that featured on there were great, but it didn't carry it for me, having Dan Aykroyd and Belushi.
And Ray Charles.
Well, this is what I mean, the guys in it
and
were
John
great.
Lee,
Yeah.
Donald Dunn and McIntyre Murphy, Mr. Fabulous, Al Rubin.
All of those guys great, but it was just the two leads for me, it just didn't.
They were the enablers, they made it happen.
Yeah, of course. Again, that was when I was watching Starsky and Hutch, so my brain wasn't working.
Well, tell me, is it your third album you're working on at the moment? Second album.
Second.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's the difficult second album. So we played the first album and got that together over 10 years, and then it's like, oh, well, we best do another one. So I started writing songs, and our drummer, who was a great contributor to the songwriting as well, he got carpal tunnel syndrome, so he's had operations, but he still can't drum very well. He comes and writes songs with us and things like that, and he's recorded on the album, but he can't play anymore, and his hearing's gone and all of that. So that was difficult because obviously he got that slap bang in the middle of us recording the album. But you know, he's a trooper and he's pulled through, and we've eventually got all the songs together, and we're just finishing them off now. And I just think it's the next step really. I think the songs are more evolved. A lot of the songs on the first album were very much in your face, sort of 12-bar, rocking it out sort of thing, and this is a bit that you know, it's got a 12-bar with a middle 8, that sort of thing.
But dare I say it, I think a lot of the charm of Dirk Diggler's Blues Revue is the fact it's in your face. It rocks it out.
Oh
in
yeah.
that attitude.
Yeah, I mean, and that's purely down to the fact that, you know, you listen. I mean, we were listening to Doobie Brothers in the van on the way up, and you hear the subtleties of things like that, you know, and Creedence and all of that, and the Allman Brothers and all that. You hear all of their subtleties, and we can't do that. So we just bash it out, you know. We're from the like 70s classic rock sort of thing, you know. So we just bash it out.
These days, here we are in 2019, gosh, already, and who do you listen to now? Which British bands do you like?
Well,
that's a leading question because there aren't that many out there that are great.
See, I've got to say, you mean that are current?
Yeah.
See, I was born in the wrong era, Jim. I don't really listen to any current music, which is. I'm definitely getting older because when I was in my teens, as I'm sure everyone will attest, it was like, oh yeah, knew everything about everything musical. But now, you know, I didn't even hear an Ed Sheeran song until the other day, which perhaps is a good thing.
I think it is, yeah.
But that. I don't listen to anything current really. I like Government Mule. They're a good band. I like Samantha Fish. She's good. That's, you know, I'm trying to think of you know, Joe Bonamassa's an amazing guitarist, but again, it's and I do love Joe Bonamassa, but again, it's with me, it's the, and I'm wrong, but it's the too polished side of things, you know, and I now love Stevie Ray Vaughan, I now love Rory Gallagher and all of that, but it's taken me until like 5 years ago to really like that sort of stuff, you know. I have to catch up with the new like production that's coming out on blues music.
Okay, now's your opportunity. Ask these romantic questions.
I was going to say, what is the first bass you bought?
Oh, yeah, so I borrowed my cousin's bass. She brought...
Not Auntie Barbara?
Not Auntie Barbara, no, she's not musical. For excellent taste, she's not musical. Yeah, I borrowed my cousin's bass. She brought like a combo pack, I think it was like 99 quid, yeah. I think it was a Columbus bass actually. The Columbus bass and like a rubbish little amp and a curly lead and a strap.
What was the first song you played on?
It was
Or
probably
what was your
Summer by the
first
Beach.
favorite song that you had to get to know? You had to learn how to play it.
I used to play in like, because there was like this scene where I was of like young lads playing in working men's clubs. So I joined a band that played like old rock and roll staples. So it'd be something like Good Golly Miss Molly or something like that, you know, Little Richard, and all the old rock and roll staples, you know, they're great, and that sort of, the same bass lines as what I play now. It's just walking 12-part bass lines, you know. So I'm not advanced since I was 13. So,
And I apologize for not seeing you play before, but are you one of those bass players who, you know, like Bill Wyman, who stands with that?
yeah.
Or are you one of those?
No, I'm not after the line like myself.
I was at Hennessy's when we played. There were people all over the tables,
Yeah.
including you.
Yeah, I do jump about a bit as much as I can, because the other bunch are a right boring bunch of buggers. So I have to give a focal point at least.
What, and I'm sorry, I'll not ask another question, let anybody else ask. So you do vocals. What's your favorite singer that inspired you to sing?
It'd be Peter Green inspired me to sing. Peter Green or Jagger really. Because I just fell in love with Peter Green's voice. I just thought he was amazing. As well as his guitar playing, and then I found out he just ripped everything off B.B. King. But, sorry Peter. But yeah, and then I started to read, I mean, my heroes like Stevie Marriott, really, Paul Rogers, those sort of guys.
Paul Rogers, yeah.
And just on another planet as far as vocals are concerned, you know. Greg Allman, great vocalist. Again, yeah. John Fogerty.
Do you still play Dr. Feelgood?
Yes, we do. That's our staple end of that one. We love playing that. Yeah, White Women and Whiskey. Yeah. I see any Dr. Feelgood track now, but we'll play it every set, so that counts.
Just going back to Peter Green, I can't remember the title of it. There is a track on one album, Fleetwood Mac. And one of the lines, or two of the lines, don't ask me what I think of you. I might give the answer that it's called.
Oh well, yeah, what's amazing about that is there are the young bands out there like playing the main stage at Glastonbury and stuff like that are playing Oh Well, you know, because it's just, see, for me, Peter Green started taking, with the Green Man Alicia and all of that, started taking blues into rock, and it started verging a little bit, like Sabbath did a little bit on the heavy rock, heavy metal side. He was in that time, and I think he was one of the pushers as well as Sabbath, obviously, you know. So, yeah, I love Peter Green.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to playing.
Anybody else?
It's interesting you say you're not very, what's the word, not sophisticated, but I mean, I've seen you play a few times. The keyboard player's got the same surname as you.
Yeah, he has. Mr. Wheatley. 2 Wheatleys in the band.
His son or...
No, he's a keep on going. He's a year younger than me. No relation whatsoever. It's just a massive coincidence, yeah. But he looks cool.
Because I was chatting to him and I was saying there's a shades of John Lord there. And he goes, yeah, I was a bit worried. It sounded like that. To me, it sounds brilliant. Yeah, nothing wrong with having a bit of deep purple. But there's a lot of sophistication in what you play.
He's keyboard playing, definitely.
Yeah.
That's about it.
But I listened to your album a lot of times. I don't think it reflects really what you're good at. It's you made me think of John J. Gar's band. You know, they did that live album.
Yeah.
And it was just outstanding. Yeah, and the rest of their studio albums weren't that interesting in my view. And that's what you need to do. You need to do a live album. Yeah, that's the really, because that's the only thing that's going to reflect really what you're like, I think. Because you were very constrained on the first album. It's great stuff, and it's home written. You know.
Yeah.
Great stuff. It was constrained. It's like,
yeah, I know what you mean. And we've tried to record live sets, you know, because we've got all the gadgetry, you know, and Richard Wheatley's a great producer and engineer. He's worked with Peter Green, actually. He lived with him for a while. But we're as rough as arseholes, you know. I mean, we're sloppy. And you listen back to it, listen back to the recording. You come back off a live show and you think, oh, that was great. Listen back to it like, ooh. Might have to sleep, might have to do a bit of Thin Lizzy here and do some overdubs.
But the J. Gar's band was full of the album, like Pat Fresco was full of mistakes, and that's what made it interesting. Now these days they seem to wipe out all mistakes, which is a shame. I love the feedback.
Well, it does. I mean, like Led Zeppelin 1, you can hear that unusual delay on Robert Plant's vocals, you know, and it's like, where's that coming from? And even like Eddie Kramer doesn't know where it is, which I find hard to believe. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. But it is warts and all a little bit, and they used to record it in 2 days. I mean, how long did the first Sabbath album take to record? 3 days, was it?
Full day.
Yeah, a full day. So there you go.
Dr. Phil's first album was in mono, they couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, and they sound great, you know, obviously, but I'm sure some of the musicians, when I listen back to it, like, oh God, I'd like to change that, I'd like to get that remastered, and obviously they have been countless times, and it's similar when I listen back to some of our live stuff. Some of it's great, you know, but a whole set, that there's a few clangers, you know, it is a bit warts and all, you know.
What's the biggest venue you've ever played?
Well, we played a couple of like festivals and open air events that have had like a few thousand people in. And then usually it's just you know, clubs this size really. Yeah, we've played a few rallies and things like that, like the rallies that have had quite a few people. There's not been one big venue that we've played, you know, that I could name and go, oh yeah, definitely that's a standout. Yeah.
You just enjoy playing?
Yeah, I mean, it was 10 years of playing toilets as well, you know. I mean, we'd be underneath the dartboard, or Mark the guitarist would have to move out the way to let somebody track through his pedals to the toilet and things like that, you know. But you know, you've got to cut your teeth really, haven't you? You know, the Chitlin circuits, imagine, there's one everywhere, you know.
It goes with the territory though, I mean, if you're playing that sort of music, it's got to be in a certain sort of place.
Well, listen, I like nothing better. I mean, I've played some gigs in some pubs where there's been about 10 people in, but all 10 of them are massive blues fans, and they're getting off the seats and they're shouting, and you'll go, oh, this is such and such a track, yes! Like, it's absolutely going crazy, and it's like, that's amazing. You know, some of my best gigs, I can pinpoint one exactly that was in this crappy little pub called the Manor in Fenton. Of course, everybody's heard of Fenton, yeah, it's the Mecca of blues. It was next to a knocking shop, which the landlord owned as well, and we played there, and there was literally 10 people in, but they were all jumping off the seats. They were all like, you know, I'd say, oh, this one's by this is Dan Rice, I've got the blues, and I'd go, yes! Like it was the favourite song, you know, that was amazing. You know, and that's one of my favourite gigs.
One final question, because we're running out of time a little bit. What does your Auntie Barbara think about you now?
She's very proud. She's very proud. She's it's quite funny because me and Mark do this acoustic thing as well called Sweet Jelly Roll Brothers, and we're playing at Congleton Jazz and Blues. And she's like, what, now Digglers? And all of this. I'm like, calm down, Auntie, we couldn't get a drummer. Yeah, and she's very proud, you know, she's very chuffed.
And the next song is going to be called This One's for Auntie Barbara. Right?
Well, yeah. I should put a dedication in there, thanks, Auntie.
I think you should. Thank you very much.